Kaczynski is once again sitting under bright, hot lights in the observation room of the Harvard Psychology Annex. 2 lights are aimed into his eyes. He squints at the bright light and dabs his forehead, wiping away beads of sweat. He feels like he's overheating. It doesn't help that he's recently grown a beard. It's another hopeless attempt to look older than just 18. Across from Kaczynski sits an older student with bright red hair and freckles. The two sit facing each other. The chairs are the only furniture in the room. Sitting next to Kaczynski is a heart rate monitor with wires connected to his chest. The monitor beeps every now and then, and a movie camera whirs in the corner, recording the psychological study. Right now, Kaczynski is trying to make a point about technology. It's something he has heard in one of his classes, and since then he hasn't been able to stop thinking about it. But he's been involved in these debate sessions for a year, and as always, the other student keeps interrupting and twisting his words. Kaczynski's jaw clenches, and he decides he's going to try and make his point another way. What I'm trying to say is that technology limits humankind, spiritually, I mean. The other student shoots Kaczynski a look of pure contempt. That's so cliche. Because it's true. A new technology may seem positive at first, but in the end, it almost always has a cost. It takes away your independence, your dignity. So, technology's bad. How about cancer drugs, huh? Curing little kids with brain tumors, that limit your freedom? No, that's not... It's like I was saying about the Amish. God, again with the Amish. Just listen. You're supposed to listen during a debate. So you get to make the rules of the debate. That right? Kaczynski squeezes his eyes shut and slaps his own leg. Just listen. The Amish do it right. They accept some technologies but reject others. They lead a simple life. Wait, you're an atheist, right? Right? But the Amish are Bible beaters. You're completely contradicting yourself. No, I'm not. You can still admire some aspects of their life. The other student leans back in his chair, smirking. What? Why are you smiling? I never saw it before. Now I know why you like the Amish so much. Oh yeah? Why? It's that stupid beard of yours. You even look Amish. Ah! The student then reaches forward and tugs Kaczynski's beard, hard. Then he makes a billy goat noise. Kaczynski recoils and rips the heart rate patches off his chest. He jumps up, glaring fiercely into the mirror. He knows that the psychologists are watching him from the other side, and for a moment he considers smashing his fist into the glass. He hovers there, his body shaking. He doesn't want to give up. He doesn't want to let them win. But he decides he's had enough. He turns and runs for the door. As he does, the other student begins laughing and says he looks forward to their next meeting in a week. Kaczynski grabs the doorknob and pauses. He feels small, humiliated. Because the worst part is Kaczynski knows this guy is probably right. He's getting paid for each session, and he needs the money. Kaczynski throws open the door and stalks down the hallway. And as he runs down the steps of the psychology annex, there's only one thought coursing through his mind. He wants to burn down the whole building with every last person still inside. American Scandal is sponsored by Madison Reed. 2020 was a year in which you learned to do more for yourself, by yourself than ever before. 2021 promises change, but remember the lesson of this past year. You can do this yourself. One of the biggest changes you can affect yourself is coloring your hair, but Chelsea in the Wondery office was trepidatious until Madison Reed and Chelsea's 2020 DIY gumption came to the rescue. You don't need a salon. You don't need to worry about messing it up or harsh chemicals or odors because Madison Reed is reinventing home hair color. What makes Madison Reed color unique is that it's crafted by master colorists who blend nuances of light, dark, cool, and warm tones to create over 55 gorgeous multi-dimensional shades. Find your perfect shade at madison-reed.com. And right now, get 10% off plus free shipping on your first color kit with code AS. That's madison-reed.com, offer code AS. It's 6 years later, 1967, in the middle of the night in Ann Arbor, Michigan. Inside a small apartment, Ted Kaczynski is having a nightmare. The same one he's had over and over again. In the dream, he's sitting inside a small, dark room. A psychologist stands behind him. His breath is rancid and hot, and he whispers that Ted is sick, that he is worthless. Ted swivels in the chair and sees that the psychologist is holding some sort of device. He's using it to control Ted's mind, and he's also going to use it on Ted's younger brother, David. Like he does most nights, Kaczynski lashes out and attacks the psychologist in his dream. That's when he starts thrashing in his sleep and wakes up in a sweat. It takes him a full minute to realize where he is. He's lying in his dingy apartment, surrounded by piles of clothes, books on math, and plates of old food. He sits up and tries to slow his breath. It's been a terrible 6 years since he finished school at Harvard. He didn't know what to do with himself when he graduated, and so he decided to follow one of his only real interests, to study math as a graduate student at the University of Michigan. He knows that people here consider him a rising star. He's published several impressive papers and even received a job offer at the University of California, Berkeley. It's one of the top math departments in the world. But inside, Kaczynski boils with anger. He hates academia. His colleagues were supposed to be brilliant, but they mostly argue over titles and parking spots. They're petty conformists, not free thinkers. And more, all Kaczynski dreams about is escaping somewhere to just disappear. He goes for long walks in the woods, and sometimes he doesn't want to turn back. But he knows he has to, because he can't figure out how to live without money. Kaczynski falls back onto the pillow. Right now, lying in bed, he has more immediate needs. He has to get back to sleep. It's only 2 a.m., and he has classes to teach. But just as he's drifting off, something thuds against his wall. He jumps up, his adrenaline surging. Then he hears another low thud, and then another in a slow, building rhythm. Kaczynski groans and sinks back down into his sheets. It's the young couple next door. They're insatiable, never quiet. So Kaczynski pounds his fist against the wall. The only response is a muffled giggle. He lies back down in bed, listening in misery. He's been at Michigan for years, and he hasn't gotten a single date. He's a full-grown man now, 6 feet tall, but the insecurities of high school still eat away at him. Kaczynski buries his face in his pillow and screams. He's leaving for Berkeley in a few weeks. When he gets there, his life has got to change. It must. 2 years later, Ted Kaczynski sits on a bench on the campus of UC Berkeley. It's an overcast day, and bells chime out from a nearby tower. Kaczynski turns the page in his book and takes a bite of an apple. He's trying to concentrate, but right now he can't. He looks up, his impatience rising once again. It's those damn protesters. Their shouts and chants are never ending. It's 1969, and the media has been calling the campus berserkly, and with good reason. Black Panthers are gathering for a march. Anti-war protesters are waving signs in their black peacoats and berets. Nearby, some long-haired communists sell copies of Chairman Mao's Little Red Book. Kaczynski scowls at all the assembled protesters. They're convinced that politics will change things, that they can reform society. Kaczynski snorts. He knows they're wrong. No matter what sort of government they set up, technology will always be there. That's the real danger, he has no doubt. Industrial society chokes off everything that's meaningful about human life. And it's not just human life. The planet is dying too. Kaczynski has seen all this firsthand. He's now a professor at UC Berkeley, and he's seen how the university and its professors are part of the problem. Math, physics, chemistry, psychology. They're all advancing the agenda of an industrial society and ruining the world. Kaczynski knows that somehow he has to stop this, but he won't be doing it by marching. Kaczynski can't help but smile at the irony. All those hippies think he's the square because he's the math professor in a tweed suit, but soon they'll never know that he's far more radical than they'll ever be. Kaczynski rises and tosses the half-eaten apple in a trash can. He walks past a group of protesters and grins as they shout their anti-war slogans. Right now, Kaczynski has to go teach a class, but he's not going to do this forever. He has other plans, and soon his life and his work are going to look a lot different. 2 months later, Ted Kaczynski strides down the hallway of the math building at UC Berkeley. Bulletin boards line the hallways and are pinned with flyers about poetry readings and upcoming protests. Kaczynski hardly notices them. He's heading to a meeting with the chair of the math department, and he's feeling annoyed. They shouldn't have to have this meeting. Kaczynski already wrote a letter and made his intentions crystal clear, but he'll do them the courtesy of explaining himself again, so there's no ambiguity about his big decision. Kaczynski arrives at the office of John Addison. Addison is the department chair, and at the moment he's frowning over something. His desk is piled with books and stacks of papers, and in front of him is Kaczynski's letter. Addison looks up. Ted, come in. Take a seat. Can I get you some coffee? No, thank you. Tea? Anything else? I've stated my preference. Oh. All right, well, let me turn this down. Addison steps over to her radio and shuts it off. Then he turns back to Kaczynski. It really is beautiful, isn't it? Music, math. They're one and the same. I just love Beethoven. That wasn't Beethoven, it was Mozart. All right, well, let's get down to it. I've read your letter, and I have to say I'm stunned. And I'm afraid I can't accept your resignation. I don't need your acceptance, John. Come June, I'm leaving. But why, Ted? You're a star. The youngest assistant professor in the history of the entire department. Be honest, did Stanford poach you, Harvard? Whatever salary they offered, we can try to match it. No one offered me a job. Well, Ted, I have to tell you, I'm baffled. I just don't understand your resignation, so please, are we through? Wait, just tell me why you're doing this. Why are you quitting? Kaczynski stares at him for a long moment. He was hoping to avoid this, but Addison might as well hear the truth. I'm leaving because I'm through with it. I can't support the technological industrial complex. Addison squints, a look of confusion in his eyes. I'm sorry, what? I said I can no longer support the technological industrial complex. I heard you, but Ted, you're a mathematician. Math feeds science. Science feeds technology. But we do pure math, which gets twisted into terrible things. Math helps people drill for oil or make some new insecticide that kills birds and trees. Math is the gasoline on the fire. Oh, you're serious. You realize you're throwing away your career. That's exactly my intention. What are you going to do? Kaczynski smiles. Who knows? Goodbye, Professor. You're a fool, but you are always decent to me. Kaczynski heads for the stairs, then walks outside. It's a glorious day, the first real day of spring. For the most part, Kaczynski believes every word he said about technology. But he did tell one lie. He knows exactly what he's going to do with himself now. Kaczynski is going to save up his last few paychecks, then he's going to buy a piece of land somewhere remote, maybe in Canada. But he won't just escape. If technological society has been choking him to death, well then Kaczynski knows he's fully justified in fighting back. The thought makes him feel strong. He breathes deep and starts to whistle as he walks. He spent his whole life getting bullied and jerked around. And what has he ever done but take it, and then take it some more? The time for taking it is over. He's going to give himself the time and space he needs. Give himself an escape from the technological world, and give everyone else hell. Next on American Scandal, Ted Kaczynski falls in love, but when he has his heart broken, he retreats into the wilderness of Montana and pushes forward with a deadly bombing campaign. From Wondery, this is episode 1 of the Unabomber for American Scandal. If you like our show, please give us a 5-star rating and leave a review, and be sure to tell your friends. Subscribe on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you're listening right now. Join Wondery Plus in the Wondery app to listen to episodes 1 week early and ad-free. You'll also find some links and offers from our sponsors in the episode notes. Supporting them helps us keep offering our shows for free. Another way you can support the show is by filling out a small survey at Wondery.com/survey to tell us what topics we might cover next. You can also find us and me on Twitter. Search for #AmericanScandal or follow me at Lindsey A. Graham. Be sure to listen to my other podcasts too, American History Tellers and American Elections Wicked Game. And a quick note about our reenactments. In most cases, we can't know exactly what was said, but all our dramatizations are based on historical research. If you'd like to learn more about the Unabomber case, we recommend the books Harvard and the Unabomber by Alston Chase, Every Last Tie by David Kaczynski, and Hunting the Unabomber by Lise Wheel. American Scandal is hosted, edited, and executive produced by me, Lindsey Graham, for Airship. Audio editing by Molly Bach. Sound design by Derek Behrens. This episode is written by Sam Keene, edited by Christina Malsberger. Our senior producer is Gabe Ribbon. Executive producers are Stephanie Jens, Jenny Lauer-Beckman, and Hernan Lopez for Wondery.
Hey everyone, it's MSNBC's Tremaine Lee. host of Into America. You're about to hear a